Are you a financial advisor who helps your doctor clients with debt-related anxiety? Welcome. I'm Dr. Vicki Rackner, and today I'd like to share with you a conversation I have peer-to-peer with doctors. It's my hope that you find this language helpful and you can integrate it into your practice as you help your doctor clients. Have you ever experienced anxiety about the debt you carry? Here's what you need to know. Debt doesn't cause anxiety. The fear of not being able to repay it does. And if you don't learn how to manage that fear, you'll do exactly what many well-intentioned physicians do. You'll avoid leverage, delay investing, and slow the rate at which you build wealth, even when the math is on your side. I was speaking with a physician who had taken on significant debt to scale a profitable entrepreneurial venture. She ran the numbers with trusted advisors. They all concluded this was a safe investment. Still, she said that she got up in the middle of the night with debilitating anxiety about her debt. What if she was wrong about the future of her business? What if she lost all of her money, and more troubling, her investors' money? Anxiety around money, especially debt, is incredibly common for physicians. Medical school loans, mortgages, investment leverage. This isn't a character flaw. It's a predictable human response to a perceived threat. So today let's have an honest conversation around debt. We'll explore what debt is and what it is not. We'll deconstruct debt-related anxiety. And last, you'll take away some specific ideas about how to manage that anxiety so you can make the reasoned investment decisions that will help you accelerate the rate at which you build your net worth. In the notes below, you'll find a link to download a resource that reinforces the ideas in this episode. If we haven't met, I'm Dr. Vicki Rackner. I'm a retired surgeon who now helps doctors get more of what they want and less of what they don't want through the process of the True Wealth Way. Well, let's kick off this conversation with another story. After I delivered a talk, a physician finishing his fellowship training approached me. He said, each year in college and in medical school, I took out loans. For 8 years, I felt like I was wading into a sea of debt. Each year, the debt came higher and higher, to my ankles, to my knees, to my thighs, to my waist. Today, as I think about my career launch, the buy-in to the practice I want to join, and my mortgage, it feels like the debt is up to my chin. I fear drowning in debt. So here are some ground rules to guide our conversation about debt. Ground rule number 1, debt is just a number. It's a neutral condition that has no inherent meaning. When you look at license plate numbers, you rarely tell a story about them. Numbers are just numbers. However, the numbers you use to measure your finances don't feel neutral. And why? Well, it's because you tell a story about these numbers. You tell a story about what it means to carry debt. However, your debt does not define the nature of your character, your self-worth, or your moral compass. Debt-related anxiety is caused not by the debt, but by the story you tell about what it means to carry debt and your ability to pay it back. Ground rule number 2, debt feels different at different income levels. Borrowing $100 as a teenager can feel overwhelming. Borrowing $100 as a practicing surgeon barely registers. The number didn't change. The context did. That alone tells us that anxiety isn't about the numbers itself. Ground rule number 3, debt offers leverage. Leverage is your ability to do more with less. Think of an Allen wrench. When you insert the short arm of the wrench into the screw, the long arm gives you more force. That's leverage. Debt allows you to grow your net worth more quickly. It's why many high net worth individuals use debt strategically, especially in real estate. Microloans to women in third world countries can transform their lives. Ground rule number 4, interest is the cost of leverage. Interest isn't punishment. It's the cost of using money, like paying for somebody to clean your house or traveling. You're paying for access. Interest rates can be negotiated. They're part of the structure of the deal, not a moral judgment. Ground rule number 5, not all debt is equal. Using debt to fund lifestyle consumption is generally considered bad debt. Using debt to acquire or grow assets is often considered good debt. Even then, the numbers have to work. Good intentions don't override bad math. Ground rule number 6, the planning brain must be online when you ask questions about debt. We've talked about the architecture of your nervous system. Think of your brain as 3 brains in one. Your best financial decisions that serve you the best are made in your planning brain or your prefrontal cortex. But debt conversations often activate the safety brain. After all, money is our ultimate survival resource. Debt-related anxiety is initiated by your safety brain. You can only do 3 things: fight, flee, or freeze. And none of these will allow you to harness the wealth-building power of debt. Ground rule number 7, risk is always a part of debt conversation. Let's get real. All investing involves risk. You can lose money. However, courage and fear can coexist. I'm about to invest in multifamily real estate, and yes, it's scary. I recently attended a meeting of physician real estate investors. One of the physicians at this meeting got up and said something unforgettable. I'm millions of dollars in debt, and my goal is to be tens of millions of dollars in debt. What he meant was this: he wants more asset-backed, intentional leverage, not bravado. Debt doesn't eliminate risk, it concentrates it. Ignoring risk creates anxiety. Naming and planning for risk creates leadership. So here's a way to think about debt. Take a look at this 2x2 matrix. On one axis, there is the amount of risk involved with the debt, high risk or low risk. On the other axis is the goodness of the debt, whether you're buying an asset, which would be considered good debt, or you're just using it for consumption, which would be bad debt. So you've got 4 quadrants. Let's look at each quadrant and see what kind of debt goes in each quadrant. In the good and safer debt quadrant, there are things like medical school debt or educational or coaching that you invest in yourself to increase your earning power. In the next quadrant, the good and riskier debt, maybe there's startups for accredited investors or highly leveraged real estate. In that bad debt that's safer, in that quadrant, there are things like low-interest car loans or zero-interest promotional financing to pay for affordable lifestyle upgrades. And in the last quadrant, there is bad and riskier debt. These are generally the dumb doctor deals, the get-rich-quick schemes that almost always result in loss. Now, you know about those 3 brains that we were talking about? Let's talk about how each of your 3 brains deals with debt. Your planning brain, your prefrontal cortex says, okay, I have got an opportunity. I'm going to run the numbers and decide whether taking on this debt is a good fit. Your here and now brain, the part of your brain that wants to seek pleasure and avoid pain, might say something like, go ahead, put that vacation on your credit card. You can easily afford the minimum payments. The safety brain says, you could lose everything. That would ruin your life and maybe the lives of others. Now, none of these brains are wrong. Problems arise when one brain runs the show alone. Here's the critical rule about the safety brain. You must verify messages from the safety brain. Your safety brain is going to bring you back to the risks that debt could bring, how much you could lose. Its job is not accuracy. The job is survival. Sometimes the safety brain is right, just like a broken clock is right twice a day. The problem isn't that it's wrong. It's that it doesn't know when it's wrong. The safety brain is like a smoke detector, not the fire marshal. It alerts you to danger. It cannot tell you whether there's an actual fire. Fear deserves attention, but not authority. Sometimes debt and financial trauma coincide. Many people who lived through the Great Depression avoided debt for the rest of their lives, not because they misunderstood leverage, but because borrowing hurt them. When the banks called in the loans, the families lost their asset. Some people who lived through the Great Depression had their relationship with money forever changed. They never felt financially safe. They experienced financial PTSD. Trauma is primarily a condition of nervous system dysregulation. Your body thinks it's fighting for its life. You cannot think your way out of trauma. Trauma doesn't respond to spreadsheets. However, effective treatment of trauma is available. Let's move now onto some practical tools for managing debt-related anxiety. Number 1, notice the anxiety in your body. We are designed to survive. It's the nervous system's highest priority. When your brain detects a threat, your autonomic nervous system prepares your body to get back to safety by fighting or fleeing or freezing. When you're in that state, you can feel the physiologic changes. Your heart beats faster, your respiratory rate quickens, your senses are heightened. All of this can happen before you have a conscious awareness of the presence of a threat. Then, when you observe the changes in your body, you conclude, I'm in danger. When your autonomic nervous system prepares you to respond to a threat, where do you feel it? In your neck, in your chest, in your stomach. When that happens, your goal is to say, I'm noticing changes in my body created because part of me feels unsafe. Debt-related anxiety is physiologic before it's cognitive. The body changes that you notice does not mean that you face danger. Number 2, treat the anxious part of yourself as you would a frightened child. What did you do when your kids were frightened of the dark? You would go to them calmly and say, I see you're frightened. You might ask, what's wrong? If they're worried about monsters under the bed, you would calmly get a flashlight and say, let's go look under the bed and see. Now, if you go through this night after night after night, you may get annoyed when your child expresses this fear. You might be tempted to say, there's nothing to be scared of. Go back to bed. Does that help your child? No. Now they just feel alone in their fear. You don't say, what's wrong with you? Why are you always scared? You don't punish your child for feeling their feelings. You say to your child that you see that they're scared. In the morning, you might brainstorm with your child about what might help them feel safer. A nightlight, having the dog sleep in the child's bedroom. Now imagine treating the part of yourself that's experiencing debt-related anxiety with that same level of compassion. Number 3, run the numbers with your planning brain. If a warning light on your car goes on, you know it's time to go into the mechanic because there could be a problem. Debt-related anxiety is like that warning light. Are you in danger? When you first experience anxiety, Run the numbers with your prefrontal cortex. Assure yourself that you're making smart decisions. Somebody with a propensity to experience anxiety has a brain that sets off false alarms. But as they say, a broken clock is right twice a day. Reassure yourself with your planning brain, not panic. 4. Be willing to feel anxiety. Anxiety rises, peaks, and falls if you allow it. Resisting it is like holding a beach ball underwater. Eventually, it pops up with even more force. I often use a snake bite metaphor. The bite is frightening, but the struggle, the panic, that's what spreads the poison. Feeling anxiety isn't dangerous. Fighting it is exhausting. So instead of fighting with your anxiety, say, "Thank you for working so hard to keep me safe. We've got this. It's okay." Or if you find yourself feeling anxious, say, "Oh, how human of me. Money is the ultimate survival resource. Of course I'm anxious when I think about debt." Try not to worry alone. Find an accountability buddy. Next, explore the worst case. What's the worst thing that could happen with debt? And what would you do if that happened? Who would you call? What options would still exist? Often, losses are painful, but not catastrophic. Number 6, change your physiology, especially at night. If you're up worrying about debt at 2 a.m., don't lie there thinking harder. Get up, move, breathe, lengthen your exhale. When you are in your safety brain, the very first thing that you want to do is get back to calm. The primary intervention is somatic. It's body-based work. That will help you ascend up to your planning brain, your prefrontal cortex. Next, don't beat yourself up. Anxiety is a human response to uncertainty. Shame amplifies fear. Compassion reduces it. Next, seek treatment if trauma is driving the fear. If anxiety is persistent or overwhelming, consider the possibility that you are trapped in trauma. The good news is that there is therapy and coaching and trauma-informed care that can help your nervous system heal. 9. Forgive past losses. Losses are part of wealth building. The goal is not to avoid all losses, it's to stay in the game. And last, distinguish between anxiety and intuition. You build a life of true wealth by listening to your intuition. Anxiety is different than intuition. Anxiety is loud, it's urgent, it's repetitive, it's catastrophic. Intuition is calm, it's grounded. It often speaks through that small, still voice. Your ability to distinguish between the two matters. In closing, knowing how to manage your debt-related anxiety is, in essence, self-financial leadership. Debt-related anxiety doesn't mean that there is something wrong with you. It means that your nervous system is trying to protect you. It's trying to help you get back to safety. Financial leadership is not the absence of fear. It's the ability to stay grounded, engaged, and intentional even when fear shows up. It's learning how to lead yourself through uncertainty with clarity and compassion. The bottom line is this: failure to manage your debt-related anxiety can sabotage wealth building. You don't need to eliminate anxiety to build wealth. You learn how to lead yourself through it. Well, thanks for stopping by today. If you like this, there's more. Go here to view a video about the True Wealth Way. I'll see you on the other side. And just as a reminder, I am neither a financial advisor nor a psychiatrist. I'm here to show you how your brain works so that you can make consistent, conscious choices about your money that helps you get to where you want to go.